There's a new kind of war being fought across Europe. It's not with soldiers and tanks, but with lines of code. In the next few minutes, we're going to dive into a huge report that maps out this new digital battlefield, and more importantly, what it means for all of us.
And look, this isn't just some wild theory. This is all coming straight from the latest threat landscape report by ENISA, which is the European Union's top cybersecurity agency. They've dug through thousands of incidents to figure out the digital threats that are literally reshaping our world. And frankly, what they found is pretty startling. So the report doesn't just see this as a bunch of random, chaotic attacks. Instead, it frames it as a whole new kind of battlefield. And on this battlefield, we're seeing three very distinct types of players emerge, each with their own playbook and really completely different goals.
Okay, and this is where the picture starts to get really, really interesting. If you thought cyber attacks were all about making a quick buck, well, take a look at this. A whopping 79% are driven by ideology. This isn't just crime anymore, it's practically digital warfare. And that brings us to our first major player on the field.
So, first up, meet the hacktivists. You can kind of think of them as digital protesters, but on a massive global stage. They're not exactly subtle. Their whole strategy is basically a blunt instrument of disruption, designed to make as much noise as humanly possible.
And that noise? It has a name. An absolutely massive 76.7% of all these incidents are what we call distributed denial of service attacks, or DDoS for short. This is the hacktivists' signature move. They just flood a target with so much junk traffic that its digital doors are slammed shut. And let's be super clear here. Their goal isn't to steal your information. It's about making a huge public statement. Taking down a government website or knocking a public transport portal offline, that's the modern version of a protest. And they often time these attacks to coincide with big, real-world events, like elections or international summits, for maximum political impact. And this isn't just random, disorganized chaos either. We're talking about highly organized groups, like the pro-Russian no-name 5716, who are really leading the charge here. They coordinate these huge, high-volume attacks to push their own political agendas. Now, let's switch gears and meet a very different kind of fighter.
Right. Next on the field is what you could call Cybercrime Incorporated. And no, this is not a couple of hackers hanging out in a basement. This is a highly professional, multi-billion-dollar industry that operates just like a giant global corporation. And it has one and only one clear objective: profit.
So what's their weapon of choice? Well, it's ransomware. It accounts for over 83% of all malicious code attacks. It's a brutal but incredibly effective method. They get in, lock up every single thing you have, and basically grind your entire business to a halt until you pay up. And this slide right here, it just perfectly illustrates their modern business model. See, it's not just about locking your files anymore. In almost 70% of cases, they also steal all your data first. It's what's known as double extortion. You have to pay to get your systems back online, and then you have to pay again to stop them from leaking all your company's secrets to the world.
So you might be asking, why is this spreading like wildfire? Well, it's because of something called ransomware as a service. Think of it like a franchise kit for digital extortion. You don't even need to be a coding genius anymore. You can just rent the tools. And this has fueled a massive, and I mean shockingly resilient criminal ecosystem.
Okay, our final player on the battlefield is by far the most sophisticated: the state-aligned spy. These guys operate deep in the shadows, and they're playing the long game. Their attacks are quiet, they're persistent, and they are designed for one thing and one thing only: espionage. The report actually points to some very clear geopolitical patterns here, with groups linked to Russia, India, and China being the most active against EU governments. But unlike the others we've talked about, their goal isn't a quick headline or a fast payout. Nope, it's all about quiet, long-term, strategic intelligence gathering. And just look at what they're targeting. These aren't just random businesses. These are the absolute pillars of a modern nation. By getting inside telecommunications, supply chains, and government ministries, these actors gain these deep strategic advantages that can last for years and years. So we have the protesters, the criminals, and the spies. Now, let's talk about the powerful new weapon that all of them are starting to get their hands on: artificial intelligence. And believe me, this isn't science fiction anymore.
It's changing the game right now. So let's take phishing, for example. It's already the #1 way that attackers get in, but AI has put it on steroids. The days of getting those scam emails with obvious spelling mistakes are pretty much over. Now, AI can write hyper-personalized, grammatically perfect messages on an industrial scale, making them almost impossible for a normal person to spot.
And we're not talking small numbers here. The scale is just immense. The report estimates that by early 2025, over 80% of all phishing campaigns were already using AI to make their attacks way more effective and much harder to detect.
And you know, it actually gets worse. We're now seeing specialized, malicious AI. I'm talking about tools like WormGPT and FraudGPT that are built specifically for crime. They can automate social engineering, they can write malicious code. It's basically like putting a criminal genius in a box, ready to be deployed at a moment's notice. So let's just recap. You've got these ideologically driven hacktivists, you have profit-hungry criminal corporations, and you have these stealthy state spies. And now they're all being armed with AI. So what does this dangerous combination actually mean for society? Well, here's the bottom line. Our essential public services are now the #1 target. Attacks against public administration have more than doubled in just a single year, which makes it the single most targeted sector. This is the new front line of this cyber battlefield.
And I want to be clear, this isn't some abstract threat that just happens on a server somewhere. The report brings up real-world examples, like an attack in Italy that completely paralyzed public transport ticketing systems, leaving thousands of commuters stranded. When the digital world gets attacked, the physical world really feels the pain. And honestly, this quote from the report it hits the nail on the head. It perfectly sums up the new reality. We're not talking about single big bang incidents anymore. The threat now is this constant, grinding pressure from all sides, a relentless wave of attacks that are designed to just slowly wear down our digital defenses. Which, of course, leaves us with the big, critical question. In a world where the attackers are constantly getting smarter, faster, and are now armed with incredible tools like AI, are we, our defenses, keeping up? That right there is the defining challenge for our shared digital future.